Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about what you can do if you suspect someone is a victim of human trafficking. Now, I'm not talking about a full on rescue, but I'm talking about concrete measures you can do to get that person to safety, usually through the proper authorities. And again, your safety has got to come first. So, I'm Brendan O'Neill. I've been a criminal private investigator here in Colorado for over 20 years. I do a lot of human trafficking and runaway, missing persons, and cold case investigations. And this channel is called the Human Trafficking Files. I want to talk first. I just want to reiterate, briefly about some of the signs that you want to look for that may indicate someone's being trafficked. I mean, if you can look for signs of manipulation or control by another person. Do you see injuries, bruises, cuts, things like that? Do they seem like they're experiencing fear and trauma, but yet they reject any help or assistance or push you away? Do they not have a cell phone? Things like that. And I covered that in greater detail in the previous video, but just want to start off by reiterating that. Okay, so what can you do? You think someone is being trafficked, you suspect it. One of the first things you should do is assess the situation and look, observe, take in as much data as you can. And remember a couple of things. First and foremost, the golden rule is do not confront the trafficker or the victim directly. And here's why. Many trafficking victims in their mind do not see themselves as being trafficked or victims. They think this is just the way it is. This person maybe really cares for them. Perhaps they've got them so strung out on drugs that they know that this is the only source that I can obtain my fix from. And again, we'll talk about that later, about the ways that predators break people down, in effect reconstruct them as victims, get them addicted, get them under their control, psychologically, emotionally, mentally, and of course physically through drugs and or threats of bodily harm. But you don't know what that situation is going to lead to. Again, many victims don't see themselves as victims. You don't know what the trafficker is going to do. They might be armed. They might attack you. They might pull out a weapon, use it against you. You're just not sure. And you've got to remember to take care of your safety first. Because if you're hurt, you are no good to that victim. So please keep that in mind. That is of paramount importance. All right, let's move on. So watch them carefully. And one of the first things I learned as an investigator was to be a good witness. I had a mentor. He was fantastic when I first got in the business, a guy getting close to retirement. And one of the first things he taught me was, you may go to a scene or try and track down a witness, and they may not be there. But as long as you come away with more than you had when you arrived, that's a win. It could be, is their mailbox overflowing? You see a lot of newspapers on the driveway. You see through the window that the home appears vacant or it's completely trashed. You want to look at vehicles in front of the homes, and not just right in front of it, look around. Jot down license plate numbers, make, model, things like that of the vehicles. Do you see other objects that might indicate someone's there? Are there security cameras on the premises on the outside? And I don't mean ring, I mean full on multiple cameras. That's often an indication that somebody inside is up to something nefarious, and they're worried about strangers, law enforcement. It could also mean that they're just incredibly paranoid, but that tends to not be the case in my experience. So observe. And for example, if you're in a mall, let's say you see a kid do that symbol I keep talking about, or you just see the behavior as being very strange, or the kid seems like they're terrified of this person, or maybe they're comfortable with him, but it seems like there's just something off. Again, I believe as human beings, we have an innate ability to sense things like that. Watch them and observe. And if you think something's going on, contact mall security or ask, them, I've seen this. Can you follow these folks as well? Chances are they're probably going to get law enforcement involved. And if you see them beginning to leave, for example, a mall or a shopping center or a grocery store, that's when you really want to make sure you're getting the information. And again, be discreet, follow at a safe distance, and just observe and take it as much as you possibly can. That's really the best thing you can do. Now, that's all assuming you don't know the victim. Let's say you do. Let's say it's a kid that you've seen on the street and you see a lot of the signs of trauma and other issues that might lead you to believe that. Or perhaps it's a woman next door and perhaps she's being labor trafficked or sex trafficked or both. You can reach out to them discreetly and say, hey, I'm here for you. I just want you to know that if you need anything, I'm here. And again, they may not see themselves as a victim, but you want to be very non-confrontational, be very empathetic, and be discreet. And let them know, hey, you know what, if you ever just want to hang out, go get a cup of coffee. We're neighbors. Let's get to know each other better. Pretty non-confrontational, and it might yield more information that you can then say, okay, I don't feel good about the situation. And again, always protect yourself. But these are the things you can do. And, if somebody says, hey, or they become quiet when you ask them, like, are you okay? So, there are resources you can call. I can call for you. Don't go any further. Don't push. Don't antagonize them. Just leave it at that and see what they do. Now, I want to add to that, and then in future videos, I'm going to be bringing on some guests. One is going to be a therapist. She's going to talk about the trauma of human trafficking. She was at a training I was at. She was outstanding. And she talked about the trauma that victims go through, but also that what law enforcement go through, and for example, federal agents that work in human trafficking, particularly the ones that deal with child sex assault material. I spoke to a federal agent that I met at a conference, and he was open. He said, I go to therapy once a week because I can't unsee what I've seen. And again, parents, take this information, share it with your children in the way that you feel is appropriate. So I want to beat that point to death, just because you're the best judge of what your kids can handle and the way it should be delivered to them. So, all right, enough of that. I know I beat that to death in every video, but I wanna just reinforce that. So we're going to be bringing on hopefully a federal agent that's going to talk about his cases. There's also a police officer who's now retired. I've actually worked some human trafficking cases with him. Guy's amazing. I've learned so much from him over the years. And in the next videos, we're going to give you some stories of actual victims. The names will be changed to protect their rights as victims, but we want to make people aware. And maybe as you hear these stories, you might say, you know what, I've seen that too. But even if you haven't seen it, it makes you aware. And also, it gives you some idea of how these individuals operate and how they prey on children and adults both. So we're going to jump into that. So if you're watching this and you're feeling moved to help, that's great. Welcome to the fight. Just remember to always take care of yourself, safety first. And from there, proceed in the best way possible to assist those victims. We've talked about the National Human Trafficking Hotline, great organization. They do have an 800 number. I'll publish that again. I did that in a few previous videos. But always make sure that you're protecting yourself, but you're also getting the information that could help bring that perpetrator, that predator, to justice and hopefully save that victim from untold future horrors. So thank you for watching. We'll see you soon, and take care.